Okay. All right. Call to order the regular council meeting of Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025. Attendance is myself, Councillor Johnston, and Councillor Whittle via Zoom. And Councillor Rabble and Wall are away with notice, just because they can't see we have quorum, so I thought that'd be handy. I'd like to start this meeting off in a good way by acknowledging that we are gathered on the Treaty 8 First Nations territory in the long-standing presence of the elders and the ancestors of Treaty 8, and that through this acknowledgement that we extend recognition and respect to the BC Treaty 8 First Nations and all those who call the Peace Country home. I'd like to recommend that Council adopts the April 22nd, 2025 regular Council meeting agenda. Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Johnston. Thank you. Discussion regarding tonight's agenda? I'm going to call the question. All those in favor?
In favor.
Okay, and that passes. Moving on to item number 4, adoption of minutes. Recommend that Council adopts the minutes from March 26, 2025 regular Council meeting minutes. Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Johnston. Thank you. Discussion regarding the minutes? Call the question. All those in favor?
In favor.
And that passes. Awesome. Introduction of late items, none. Public hearings, none. Delegations, presentation from the 2024 audited financial statements as presented by Eclipse LLP, and I direct administration to finalize and publish the 2024 financial statements in accordance with the legislation requirements. Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Johnston. The floor is yours. Thank you so much for coming up and seeing us again.
No worries. Thank you, Mayor Beach, and thank you to Council for having me here again. You guys are our first audit presentation under our new rebranded name of Eclipse LLP, so congratulations. Yes.
Yeah.
You can be the first people that fall asleep. So.
No one ever. And congratulations to you on the whole new change. Very exciting.
Yeah. So if you guys turn to your draft financial statement package there, you will see page 2 of it, which has our independent auditor's report. It is addressed to the Mayor and Council of the Corporation of the Village of Pouce Coupe. It states that we've audited the financial statements of the Corporation of the Village of Pouce Coupe, which comprise of the statement of financial position as at March 31st, 2024, and the statements of operations and accumulated surplus, changes in net financial assets and cash flows for the year then ended, and notes the financial statements, including a summary of significant accounting policies. In our opinion, the company financial statements present fairly, in all material respects, the financial position of the organization as at December 31st, 2024, and the results of its operations and cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with Canadian public sector accounting standards. Management is responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements in accordance with PSAS, and for such internal control as management determines is necessary to enable the preparation of financial statements that are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error. As auditors, our objective is to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements as a whole are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error, and to issue an auditor's report that includes our opinion. As part of an audit that's been performed in accordance with Canadian generally accepted auditing standards, we exercise professional judgment and maintain professional skepticism throughout the audit. We also identify and assess the risk of the material misstatement of the financial statements. We obtain an understanding of the internal controls relevant to the audit in order to design audit procedures that are appropriate in the circumstances, but not for the purpose of expressing an opinion on the effectiveness of the organization's internal controls. We evaluate the appropriateness of the accounting policies used and the reasonableness of accounting estimates and related disclosures made by management, and we conclude on the appropriateness of management's use of the going concern basis of accounting. Finally, we evaluate the overall presentation, structure, and content of the financial statements, including the disclosures and whether the financial statements represent the underlying transactions and events in a manner that achieve fair presentation. And we also communicate with those charged with governance regarding, among other matters, the plan, scope, and timing of the audit, and any significant audit findings, including any significant deficiencies in internal controls that we may identify during our audit. So, in other words, another clean audit report this year. So,
nice.
Any questions?
Wonderful. I think everything looked really, really great. I can imagine that you went over this with a fine-tooth comb with our team and went through everything. I think everything looks wonderful. I think we have another awesome year, and I did have one question. Hang on, let me just find it. I was looking at it earlier. Under expenses. Oh, I'm not going to be able to find it now. Under expenses, I think it had shown like a deficit amount, and I was thinking that Like there was no, that didn't balance out properly. Well, it's not that it didn't balance out, it was just showing a deficit in brackets. I'm just looking for that, hang on. Under,
Page 21,
it might have been,
it's the segment with no disclosure.
oh, I can't find it now. I circled it on my laptop and then I forgot my laptop at home. Right, surpluses. Yeah, I think for the most part, everything looked really, really good, and I was really, really happy with it. Oh yes, here it is on page 37. Under revenues, under expenses, it was showing that deficit of revenue over expenses. And is that our deficit for this year? Is that what that was noting? Or for 2024? On page 37, and page 24 of the agenda, page 37 of the audit, sorry.
The 398.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's your, so that's specific to your schedule of capital fund operations. And so that deficiency is because of you guys budgeting for amortization. So that's your amortization on your guys' capital.
Okay, that's what I had wondered.
And then you guys offset that with transfers into that fund, which is why when you go down to the bottom there, you will see an annual surplus within your capital fund of $1.5 million.
1.5 million.
So it's a
Okay.
presentation. So, or it's the way it presents versus the way you guys maybe necessarily budget with
Yes.
the bottom line. It's
Yeah.
a below the line transfer, so we need to still the surplus, just a presentation way. to
It's
keep
just a presentation of a deficit because of the assimilated.
Yes.
Um,
And to keep it in accordance with public sector accounting.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, perfect. Nope, that was my only question. Other than that, I think everything was really, really great. You did a phenomenal job as always, and you know.
and I think a lot of kudos needs to go to your guys' finance team, you know, the CAO, the CFO, you know, Trina always works very, very hard.
Yeah.
Gets us lots and lots of information. We really do appreciate, you know, all the effort that they put into trying to make the audit go as smoothly as possible. So.
Yeah. No, you know, and it's wonderful to have you come back year after year. You know, you've gotten to know us, and we've gotten to know you, and that also really, really helps. So thank you so much.
Appreciate you guys. So.
Any questions, Councillor Whittle? Do you have any questions of note?
No, no questions.
There you go. Fastest presentation. We didn't even have time to get tired. You see, you were fine.
You did not fall asleep on me. I appreciate it. So.
We were gripping our seats the whole time.
Excellent. Thanks, guys. You have
Yes.
a good rest of your evening.
Yes,
Thanks
have
for
a
being
wonderful
here.
night. Thank you so much. I'm just going to wait for the delegation to go before I call the question on that. Wonderful. So this section I was just waiting for was on the administration finalizing and publishing the 2024 financial statement. So I'm just going to call the question on that recommendation. All those in favor?
In favor?
And that passes. Wonderful. All right. 207.2, Councillor Johnson.
Recommend that council declares the month of May 2025 as MS Awareness Month in the village of Pouce Coupe in support of MS Canada's efforts to raise awareness and provide support for individuals and families affected by multiple sclerosis.
Thank you, Councillor Whittle. Okay, wonderful. So I'm going to read the proclamation. Okay, wonderful. Stand up and read it. All right. So, proclamation, whereas multiple sclerosis is a neurological disease affecting approximately 1 in 400 Canadians and over 90,000 across the country, and whereas multiple sclerosis symptoms vary widely, the disease may cause symptoms such as fatigue, lack of coordination, weakness, tingling, impaired sensation, vision problems, bladder, bowel problems, and cognitive and mood changes, and whereas MS is thought to be caused by a combination of genetic, environmental, and lifestyle risk factors. And whereas MS Canada is the only national organization in Canada that supports both MS research and service for people affected by MS. And whereas annual fundraising events such as the MS Walk, MS Bike, and the A&W Canada Burger to Beat MS campaign support programs to enhance the lives of people affected by MS and help support MS research in Canada. And whereas since 1948, MS Canada has provided over $224 million for MS research and is grateful for the dedication and commitment of supporters and volunteers that have made this possible. And whereas together we will find ways to connect and empower the MS community to create positive change and see a world free of MS. Now, therefore, I, Danielle Beach, Mayor of the Village of Pouce Coupe, in the province of British Columbia, Canada, do hereby proclaim that the month of May 2025 be MS Awareness Month for MS Canada. Do you have a copy in your office? You want me to sign? You want me to sign this one?
We'll sign the copy in my office.
Wonderful, thank
Thank
you.
you, Your Worship.
Okay, all right. I'm going to call the question. All those in favor?
In favor?
Thank you, and that passes. All right, item number 8, unfinished business and business arising from the minutes. Recommend that council receive the update regarding the councillor tablets initiatives and notes that administration is currently awaiting quotes for compatible digital voting software prior to implementation. And that council provides further direction regarding the scope and the timeline of the digital council proceeding transition. Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councillor
Second.
Johnston. Okay. Now, just before we start, I know Councillor Wall, while he is not here today, he did express a few more questions that he had regarding the bill that was presented at the last council meeting that kind of showed like a monthly breakdown of printing. I know that he did have a few more questions regarding that bill and that breakdown regarding council packages and the paper used. Versus paper used for council packages and the paper that was used for the open house. And so for that reason, my concern is that if we were to pass or create a timeline this evening to begin this transition, I'd like to make sure everybody is on board. Because if not everybody is on the same page, that's going to lead to a lot of extra work for our CAO, Mr. Cebulski. And I think we are past the point of sort of chasing people around. And unless everybody is invested in moving to tablets at this time, I think it's a conversation that needs to continue to grow and it needs to continue to evolve. So I am really looking to defer it, but I would like to actually hear from other members of council before I make that recommendation. So does any other members of council have any statements?
So,
Yes.
sorry. So yeah, I like the idea of moving to digital. Especially for those of us that have been around for a while now, the technology we currently have is aging out, and to replace current technology versus moving to a digital format is more cost effective. Yeah, so I like the idea of moving to digital, reducing the amount of paper that gets printed. Because myself personally, I know I've got sitting in the council chambers right now, I've got a 1 foot deep bin full of council papers and notes and everything else that ultimately is going to go to the shredder. So to be able to have that digitally, which I think is a great idea. So I think something we should look at moving forward on sooner rather than later. The presentation that staff laid out is a good presentation. But that being said, I think it warrants taking it back to the next COW meeting and fleshing it out at the COW meeting a bit more, but again, not laboring this thing to death.
Yeah.
Then spending the next 6 months trying to figure out, an option that's really at the end of the day, it's a $600 option to go to a tablet, so it's not that, compared to other electronics like laptops or even replacing a cell phone, it's relatively a minimal cost. So
yeah, I think that I definitely like the idea of moving to digital as well. As I said, my concern is that if everybody's not on board, it's going to be a lot of added work for our CAO just to kind of be constantly having that conversation of trying to move people in that direction. And I just think if we jump the gun too soon, it's really going to be a lot of added work to you. So I would like to make the recommendation that we defer this to the next COW meeting. Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Johnston. Thank you. Any discussion regarding moving that to the COW meeting? I'm going to call the question then. All those in favor?
in favor.
And that passes. Thank you very, very much. If you have any other points that you would like to bring up at the Cal meeting, just for more of an in-depth conversation, so this doesn't become a cumbersome, talked to death item, please prepare them prior to the Cal meeting and, prepare to be discussing them and have them being questioned. Okay. All right, moving on to item number 9, new business, there's none. Moving on to item number 10, correspondence. Is there anything anybody wants to talk on correspondence? I'm fine accepting it all for information. Okay, I make the recommendation that we accept 10.1, 10.2 for information. Can I get a seconder?
Seconded.
Seconded by Councillor Woodall, thank you. Discussion regarding receiving for information. All those in favor?
In favor.
Matthew's laughing.
I really like that. It's all done. Thank you, Your Worship.
All right, moving on to item number 11. 11.1, recommend that council adopt the resolution of support for participation in the 2025 Northern Development Initiative Trust Local Government Internship Program, that the Village Poughkeepsie commits to fulfilling all host government responsibilities as required by NDIT, including financial contributions, mentorship, reporting, and full support of the intern placement. Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Johnston. Thank you. Discussion?
Yeah, I just want to thank Mr. Smolsky for going after this opportunity for the village. When we first seen this announced, I believe it was at UBCM last year, where they announced this initiative throughout the entire province and said, there's some neighborhood throughout the province. And I believe I turned around to Councillor Johnston and Mayor Beach, and I said, yeah, wouldn't that be nice if we get something like that? Good luck. And to see it come to fruition and actually work out is awesome. So congratulations to you, and thank you for all your hard work on that.
100%, Councillor. Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful job.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to call the question then. All those in favor?
In favor.
That passes. Wonderful. All right. Moving on to 12.2, Councillor Woodall, do you want to read that?
Yeah, okay, bear with me here.
You got it.
Alrighty, so you said
11.2.
Or sorry, 11.2. Alrighty, so recommendation, or sorry, 11.2, waiver of free community farmers market group. Recommendation that council approves the waiver of all applicable rental and special events permits for the Poughkeepsie Farmers Market Group for the 2025 season, in recognition of their volunteer-led community contributions, and that staff be authorized to reflect this waiver in relevant booking processes and communications.
Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Johnston. Thank you. I would just also like to note that I have reached out to Jocelyn, who is the lady who's going to be taking over the community farmers market group, to get her to be part of Canada Day, to start helping out with that, as well as to align her with Mr. Mizey for the all ladies baseball tournament. So I am working with her on those things as well. I'm just scheduling a phone call with her. So she sounds like she is on board to kind of be in the community as much as possible, which is really, really great. So.
What is the season? Is it in September?
Yeah, so it starts, I think she planned on starting in May, and it was going to run till September.
We were told about 20-week season.
Yeah.
20-week season.
Yeah, so pretty decent amount, so I'm really, really excited about that. Okay, any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
In favor.
And that passes. Wonderful. And she was very, very happy to hear the good news. And I'm happy to have her in the community. That'll be wonderful. All right, we're going to move on to item number 12, bylaws. 12.1, municipal regulatory amendment bylaw 2025, first, second, and third reading. Of the following bylaws are being brought forward for their first, second, and third reading. Bylaw number 1064, Animal Control and Licensing Amendment 2025. Bylaw number 1065, Building Regulation Amendment 2025. Bylaw number 1066, Business License Amendment 2025. Bylaw number 1067, Cemetery and Columbarium Amendment 2025. Bylaw number 1068, Development Application Procedures Amendment 2025. Bylaw number 1069, Hen Keeping Amendment 2025. Bylaw number 1070, Parks and Open Spaces Amendment 2025. Bylaw number 1071, Sewer Charges and Regulations Amendment 2025. Bylaw number 1072, Solid Waste Management Amendment 2025. Bylaw number 1073, Water Conservation Amendment 2025. Bylaw number 1074, Water Utility Rates and Regulation Amendment 2025. Bylaw number 1075, Sign Regulation Amendment 2025. Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Johnston. I'd just like to note, because this was brought to my attention, so I did look into it yesterday, and I'm just going to, excuse me while I read from my phone, I apologize. There was a concern about doing first, second, and third reading within one sitting. I looked into the community charter, and as per Division 3, bylaw procedure, requirements for passing bylaws. Before a bylaw is adopted by council, it must be given three readings by the council, subject to this section and the applicable procedure bylaw. A bylaw may be given up to 3 readings at one council meeting. There must be at least 1 day between the third reading and the adoption of the bylaw. According to the community charter, we can do all 3 meetings in this meeting, as long as the adoption is at least 24 hours after our first 3 readings. So I'd just like to note that for council and for those watching. Any questions or comments regarding the following bylaws that are receiving their first, second, and third reading? Okay, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor?
In favor.
Wonderful. And that passes.
So I will need an additional motion for second reading, an
Oh, yeah.
additional motion for third reading.
I got to read them all over.
Your worship. No, you don't
I'll
have
make a
to.
motion.
They can be verbatim.
I'll make a motion that we accept this as a second reading as well.
Okay, I second that. Okay, discussion regarding second reading? All those in favor?
In favor. I guess you guys can't see me raise my hand.
No?
Thank you, Councillor.
Would you like to make the recommendation, Councillor Johnson, for third reading?
Recommend the council give the third reading to the underlying bylaws.
Okay.
Seconded.
Seconded by Councillor Whittle, thank you. Discussion regarding the third reading? All those in favor?
In favor.
And that passes.
Thank you, Your Worship.
You're welcome. All right, I'm going to move on to the next recommendation. Recommend the council give first reading to bylaw number 1064, Animal Control and Licensing Amendment Bylaw 2025. Bylaw number 1065, Building Regulation Amendment 2025. Bylaw number 1066, Business License Amendment 2025. Bylaw number 1067, Cemetery and No, wait, do I have to read all those again?
No. It's included as outlined in the third motion.
These are all the same ones, aren't they?
Yep. So one was just what is the bylaw outline. The next one is the actual recommendation for first, second, and third motion.
Oh, well,
So we just did that in reverse process, but
oh, okay.
it all works the same. We got the
Nope.
motions on record.
I'm going to switch to item number 12.2 then. I was like, I can move on. Okay. Item number 12.2, bylaw number 1063, financial plan bylaw 2025 to 2029, receive second and third reading. Well,
Seconded.
seconded by Councillor Whittle. Thank you. Discussion regarding second reading. All those in favor?
In favor.
And that passes. Who wants to read recommendation number 2?
Recommend that council give the third reading to bylaw number 1063, financial plan bylaw 2025 to 2029.
Seconded.
There you go. Any discussion regarding third reading? All those in favor?
In favor.
And that passes. Wonderful
So-
job.
Mayor Reach.
Yes.
So is it to my understanding that we do have a meeting on April 30th for the the fourth reading of these bylaws?
So it'll be adoption.
No fourth
Oh,
reading
adoption.
required unless, further discussion from any councillors.
Yeah.
Then again, that can be motioned and defeated. But pretty much it's just straight up adoption.
Yeah. So we'll be doing adoption on the 30th. So the meeting shouldn't be long. It should be in and out. Because I know that.
No, I just wanted it as well in our public record that we are meeting again on April 30th just to finalize all of these bylaws.
Wonderful.
Sorry
That
to
sounds
interrupt,
great.
Your Worship, but I think you'll need the first and second reading of that bylaw.
I believe we actually did first reading of the financial plan bylaw at our
Oh, I'm sorry.
So yeah, we're on the
Cal
second
meeting.
and third.
Yes, on the Cal meeting of
Yes.
April 9th.
We did a special meeting prior to the Cal meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we're on second and third.
I was heard Counselor Johnson say the second reading, so I was like, oh, wait a minute. We
Wait a
don't
minute, are we
My
missing one?
apologies for not referring to the original
No,
first.
no
My bad,
worries.
folks.
All right, moving on to item 12.3, bylaw number 1062, consolidated municipal fees and charges, and bylaw, charges bylaw 2025, first reading. Can I get a seconder?
Second.
Seconded by Councillor Whittle. Discussion regarding bylaw? All those in favor?
In favor.
And that passes. Councillor Whittle, do you want to read recommendation number
Yep, I'll make the recommendation that we give second reading to bylaw number 1062, consolidated municipal fees and charges, bylaw 2025.
Seconded by Councillor Johnston. Any discussion regarding second reading? All those in favor?
In favor.
That passes. Councillor Johnston?
Recommend the council give third reading to bylaw number 1062, consolidated municipal fees and charges bylaw 2025.
And I'll second that. Discussion regarding third reading? All those in favor?
In favor.
And that passes. Wonderful job. All right. Moving on to item number 13, administration reports. I'm just looking at the time, chuckling. Recommend the council accepts the CAO-CO report outlining the Village of Pouce activities for April 5th to the 17th as information. Can I get a seconder?
Second.
Seconded by Councillor Whittle. All those in favor?
In favor.
All right. Tell us what you've been up to.
All right, I appreciate the platform and the table, Your Worship. So, outlining administrative activities for the period of April 5th to 17th. We've had a few different fun things on the agenda, but also a very busy time. So, I did attend the NCLGMA conference in in Prince George from April 9th to 11th. And this was the first in-person conference since 2019, so it's nice to reconnect and network with some peers and cohorts. Some of the cool sessions that were included in this conference as an attendee were AI in the municipal government, how to use it to your advantage, as well as some of these associated risks and how to prepare for those risks. Climate Action Program investments, and that was a presentation by the province of BC. So there's been a lot of climate adaptation funding provided by the province, and we went through a workshop of what are eligible projects versus ineligible projects. So that was a really beneficial one. I know me and Mr. Criada have been discussing this at nauseum with Ms. McNair in the finance office about how we apply that funding to some practical outcomes, and I've started to get some light bulbs going. So this is a good thing.
Well, actually, one of the things I've always wanted us to do is what Hudson Hope did, where they put solar panels on all their
So there was a
government
case
buildings.
study provided on some solar panel projects from across the country, and that project was specifically spoken to,
Yeah.
and how we can apply that towards some of our municipal overhead and carbon footprint facilities. So,
Yeah. No,
yeah.
I think it's so cool that they're actually making money off the grid by putting energy back.
We're actually working on a business case study and a feasibility application for Stream 1 of the Green Municipal Fund for greenhouse gas emissions and reduction feasibility studies. So that will tie into exactly what that project would possibly entail.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
So we also worked on attended a business continuity planning 101 workshop led by Colliers project leaders, and this was directly pertaining to how to continue municipal operations when emergency preparedness functions end up taking place. So this could be, evacuation procedures. This could be taking in additional evacuees from another community and having to provide them respite and shelter. But how do you prepare for the municipality to still function when you not necessarily don't have access to your physical place of operations? So again, that was a great eye opener and saw where some of our gaps exist and how we can apply some nuances to that. We got a labor and employment law update from our friends at Young and Anderson. There was a BC Assessment and Civic Info Services overview from our friends at BC Assessment about what goes into assessing a property and the different formulatic approaches that they have. And then we had an awesome presentation on homelessness and legal responses and the new realities of some of the issues that we're facing in our communities in the 21st century. So all in all, it was a very beneficial day. Let's see where I have page 2 here. Sorry about folks. There we go. So we have met with Grant Match on a few occasions here, and we have been assigned our Grant Match Senior Funding Specialist. So Andrew's been working on a funding strategy for some high-level administration grants. So some of these ones that have been outlined are that Green Municipal Grant through FCM, a couple NDIT grants, as well as an asset management grant through UBCM. So we do have some progress moving towards some capital operation or capital expense procurement or capital funding procurement. Sorry. I have been doing a org chart overview as well as some ongoing bylaw reviews that public office has been aware of over the last few months. I am working on a draft report about identifying those gaps for consolidating bylaws in the future for some point in May or June. We do also have a e-permitting demonstration on the agenda for April 23rd tomorrow. So this is an e-permitting system with Catalyst, and this is to pretty much streamline our services when it comes to permit application submissions. Everything can be done through a digital platform as opposed to a 3-step process that requires in-person communication. We're working also on our Maintain X asset management software implementation. So right now we do have a data asset management workbook that is being populated with all of our TCA chart data. So we have over 15,000 assets listed on that TCA chart. So this is a quite exhaustive process of importing everything from that TCA chart into this asset management import workbook so we can get it live onto the digital platform and make it workable. We're targeting for an implementation date of end of May for that.
Wow.
And then one of the funding applications I've been actively working on is the Active Transportation Planning Program. So this would work with identifying some development strategies as well as sidewalk and trail network gap analysis. So I know something that has been identified in our corporate strategic plan is how do we fortify our active transportation and trail network. So this would give us the funding so we can see the feasibility and what next steps look like. Other additions included in that funding plan are accessibility and pedestrian safety priorities, and then also regional connectivity considerations. I know there's always been considerations of possibly a active transportation connection between the municipalities of Pouce Coupe and the city of Dawson Creek.
Yeah.
This would help fund that exploration.
We did do a survey on that about 2 years ago, and it was 80% of the community voted not in favor of getting public transport out due to concerns about they were having quite a bit of crime in Dawson Creek at that time, and there was a lot of concern that crime would use public transport to move its way into Pouce Coupe, and so at that point in time, over 80% of the community did not agree with having public transport in the area. That may have changed now as things have calmed down a little bit, but you may be able to use some of that data from that time as well.
Okay, fair enough. Just for a distinction, this would be for active transportation, which would be considering bicycles, scooters, hiking trails, walking paths, things of that nature.
Oh, okay, good. So anytime you mention public transportation, everybody jumps to busing and then they all have a heart attack.
No, this would be so that we can explore possible scooter rental programs.
Oh, wonderful.
Expanding trail networks between the actual home flagship municipality as well as sister municipalities.
Wonderful. Oh, cool. Good work.
Thank you, Your Worship. So we are working on having that submission done by the end of June. So fingers crossed that we don't have any hiccups on that. We'll have some additional status updates before that is submitted.
That sounds wonderful.
And that does overview administrative activities for April 5th to 17th, Your Worship.
Okay, perfect. All right, moving on to council calendar. So you see the final bylaw adoption is on April 30th. As I said, that should be a quick meeting. And then implementation of the new service fees and consolidated user fee will be as of May 1st, so the community is aware. And then, so...
Quick question, sorry.
Yes, please.
So the financial bylaw special meeting, that's when we're going to do the final adoption too of all the consolidated bylaws. That meeting, I imagine, is at 7:15 at night, like our normal meetings. Is there a waiting period from the time we vote that in? Does it have to be 24 hours? So would implementation have to come in on the 2nd instead of the 1st?
No. The only requirement is a buffer between final reading and adoption. There's no requirement for a buffer between adoption and implementation.
Oh, okay. Cool. I just wanted to make sure that we weren't inadvertently getting the cart before the horse.
No, I appreciate that, Councillor. Believe me, we did a lot of the research regarding this process and making sure that we had all I's dotted and T's crossed.
All right, thanks.
Thank you for asking them that question, Councillor Whittle. Okay, moving on to Councillor reports. Councillor Johnston, what you been up to? You went to a museum meeting.
I had a museum meeting.
Yeah.
So they're getting ready for the grad sale. Have they, I don't know if they've approached you about advertising, and they said they would. Did they ask about fencing?
We've had some preliminary chats. I can't really say what details
Okay.
are, Councillor, but we definitely have had some chats.
So they were concerned whether or not we had little fencing so they could block off the way here. And their other question was, they were curious as to whether or not they were getting students. I don't know.
We haven't gotten any confirmation on regarding their application yet.
Okay, and that was about all the questions they had for council.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much. I bet they were all really excited to see you. They've all known you since you were knee-high to a grasshopper, so I can imagine it's like going to tea with all your mom's friends.
Yeah.
Wonderful job. Well, that's fantastic news. Okay, Councillor Rabble is away with notice. Councillor Wall is away with notice. Councillor Whittle.
Actually, in all honesty, I haven't been up to a whole heck of a lot. I've had 6 family members, and I've been dealing with some health stuff myself. More doctor's appointments this next coming week, and hopefully soon get surgery so I can get back to normal. So unfortunately, I haven't been able to follow up on a whole heck of a lot.
Are you going to be able to make the food bank meeting on the 26th?
I don't know at this point in time. I actually have to go pick up a cardiac monitor here later this week and get some other testing done. So.
Okay.
I think I'm second on that.
You are the second on that. So if you can't make it, the meeting is on Saturday at 7 p.m. at the food bank. So.
26, 7 p.m.
Yeah, I'll coordinate with you right closer to the time and let you know if I can make it. And
Okay.
one of us will be there.
That'd be perfect. Wonderful. They would love to meet you. Wonderful job. Okay. When did we have our last meeting? The 9th. Okay. So, what have I been up to since then? I did attend the PRD board meeting. I will have my write-up for that at the next Cal meeting. I apologize for not having it ready today. Then on the 15th of April, I attended a Canada Day meeting here with the staff going over plans for Canada Day. That is coming sooner rather than later. From that, we brainstormed some donation letters and actually ended up coming into the office on the 16th and drafting one. And then just sort of met with staff and worked on Canada Day stuff. And then I began sending out donation letters on the Thursday. I think we sent out over 70. It was a lot. I get why celebrities have stamps because I signed every single one of them. I got carpal tunnel for sure, but it was really, really good. So we made some great progress towards receiving donations from local businesses for that. I've been coordinating, as I said, with Jocelyn regarding the farmers market and getting everything ready for that and hoping to see her on Canada Day, as well as working with the staff on connecting with local food vendors from in the community as well as outside, as food was a bit of an issue last year. There wasn't quite enough vendors. So we've compiled a list of vendors that staff are going to be looking into. I've also been working with, it's just in my brain and now it's gone, with Danny Grant regarding music. I spoke with him over the Easter long weekend and coordinated on some bands that we're going to try to contact to come in on Canada Day. And then I was in today, again, finishing up, sending off more donations. I think there was like 70 of them. There were so many of them. A big thank you to Miss Lyman for all of her help getting everything ready for that. And then I have my first library board meeting this week, which I will be attending on Thursday at 7 p.m. So I'm excited to connect with all of them again as well. So yes, that's what I've been up to. All right, question period. Nobody's here. In camera, there doesn't appear to be one. Rise and report none. So I make a motion that we adjourn. Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Johnston.
Yeah.
Adjourned.
Right, this is a joke.
Thanks, Marcel.
Meeting or something, right?
All right, thanks everybody. If I don't see you sooner, I'll see you on the 30th.
Yeah, see you later.